Happy Wednesday. Oh gosh, hold on one second. Hold on one second. Hold on one second. Okay. I'm back. Good, no one's here yet. Oh shoot. There's so much to do, so little time. That's how I feel. Didn't go exactly where I wanted it to go, but we're okay. Man, so much. Hi, how are you? Hi, Tanner, what's up? Ow. Hello, we'll see who else joins. Give it just a second. See, I hope you're having a good Wednesday. I sure am. So far, it's actually a lot of good news today. Kind of good news. Good news. All good things. Hi, Harvey. Nice to see you. Hopefully everyone is doing well. I'll go ahead and get started in just a second. I usually get started at about the 2 or 3 minute mark. My Eva, I'm so sorry. She passed away about a month ago. I miss her so much. It was so sad. Eva was 11 years old, which is it's not that old for a cat. I think the average lifespan for a cat is like 12 to 20 or something. I don't know. So it's not too old, but she was getting up there, and she was an indoor-outdoor cat. But I don't know, we had a really big snowstorm, and I noticed that she was really lazy and not going out as much, but that's not too odd for her in the winter time when it's snowing out. Good, no crying today. I won't cry today. No, trust me, I have cried. But I just noticed she was really lethargic, but not too worried about it. And then I also noticed her appetite was decreasing. Again, not too worried, but one day she wouldn't eat anything. Oh, thank you. Yeah, she just wouldn't eat anything. So I took her to the vet. I was like, something's going on. And I remember like picking her up. I'm like, oh my gosh, she dropped weight so fast. But I took her to the vet, and we didn't know what was wrong with her, but she was very anemic and just refusing to eat. So I had her on she passed away, I think, she passed away 3 days after going to the vet. Hi, Walkie. Yeah, she passed away 3 days after going to the vet. I got her on antibiotics and was basically like syringe feeding her, but I could not get her to eat anything. I had to syringe feed her everything, and she passed away at home. So we don't know exactly what was wrong with her, but she was getting up there, and she had a great life. But yeah, she passed away in my arms. Oh, yeah. It was just her time, I think. But I don't know exactly what was wrong with her. It could have been a number of things, but she wasn't responding to anything. And I either nursed her at home or would have had to put her down or put her in the hospital. The cat hospital, I guess, the animal hospital. So, yeah, she's no more pain, and she went really peacefully with me. She was in my arms, and she's buried out in her yard back there. So it was really sad. I knew, it's crazy too, because she was 11 years old. She was getting up there, and I remember the last year that she was alive, I remember like one day I'm like, okay, because she's my first pet that I've had that's been my pet that I've had for that long. So I knew, I was like, she's, one day she's gonna go. It's just a part of having a pet. I just didn't know it was gonna be that soon, but it was rough. But I was really thankful that I got to like be with her. I was really thankful that I didn't have to go take her to get her put down, and that I'm not gonna cry, and that she went very peacefully, like in my arms, and like she should, you know. I don't want her to be put down. Okay, enough of that. But yeah, she passed away, but it was actually almost, wow, yeah. It was almost a whole month ago when she passed away. So it's been about, has it been a month? It might have been 2 months. Oh my gosh, it might have actually been 2 months. That's what a blur everything was, like that whole, the month, because I remember it was, we were going into a new month. So yeah, it's actually been, wait, it's been 2 months. Yeah, so yeah, Eva's no longer with us, but she's in a better place. She's in kitty heaven. I do believe she's in kitty heaven. All right, we'll go ahead and start and get into it. So there's actually been some pretty good news today. Last night, hold on, I want to see this tweet. Last night, the CEO of Ford announced that they're going to be putting two manufacturing plants in the United States. So they're going to be building one plant in Ohio and another plant in Tennessee. So that's really good news for the country and for jobs in the country and manufacturing in the country. The Ford CEO said, I will tell you exactly what he said. So the Ford CEO said, we're building a new plant in Ohio. Hi, welcome you all. So the Ford CEO said, we're building a new plant in Ohio and Tennessee. We're building 2 brand new factories in the US. Yeah, that's, I'll get to that in a second because that one's pretty cool too. Okay, so he says we're building 2 new plants in Ohio and Tennessee. 2 brand new factories in the US. We're expecting this is important what he said last, we're expecting our competitors to do what Ford has already done, which is localize more production like this plant here in Kentucky. Obviously, he's talking from the plant in Kentucky. And what Harvey just brought up, this is a steel plant, so that's happening. And then Hyundai announced that they're going to be building a steel plant in Louisiana. So Hyundai Steel is building a $5.8 billion steel plant in Louisiana, specifically in the Donaldsonville area. I don't know, y'all. Which will be the first North American steel manufacturing facility. Very cool. The plant is located on 1,700 acres and is expected to create 5,400 jobs and produce 2.7 million tons of steel annually. That is great news. Also, Honda has announced recently, this was a few weeks ago actually, that they're going to be producing their new Honda Civic in Indiana. So previously, they were going to be producing the Honda Civic in Mexico, but because of the 25% tariffs, they're now going to be doing this in Indiana. So these are great, great things, great news for jobs, for manufacturing, and for consumers, because obviously, if we are producing things in the United States, that's going to make it a lot cheaper for everyone else. So these are all really, really, really good things. And if you want to hear him speak, this is the CEO of Ford. His name is Jim Farley.
We're investing across these different, we're building a new plant in Ohio and Tennessee. We're number 2 to Tesla on electric. We're number 3 to hybrid to both the Japanese competitors. We're investing across these different kinds of powertrains. We're kind of the only one who offers all of it. You can get electric F-150, a hybrid F-150, a V8 F-150, EcoBoost F-150, and we don't really care. We just want people to be able to have the choice. So we're building 2 brand new factories in the U.S. and we're the most American already. As far as parts are concerned, that's a good question. Now, we have a lot more work to do to, can we even do this, that 15 or 20%? And that's what we have to work through. Look, we're expecting our competitors to do what Ford's already done, which is to localize more production like this plant here in Kentucky. We are.
See, this is the Trump in motion, baby. Oh, yeah. And that's really important. The last part of what he said, very important. We're expecting our competitors to do what we're doing, to produce things locally. And I think that's great. Hold on. Let me just, all of our manufacturing jobs have been leaving. We've been outsourcing. So Trump has said previously that 90,000 factories have left the US in the past 30 years. That's a lot. That's a really big deal. That's going to make an impact. So that's great news. Also, to piggyback off of that, you have Steve Morin. He's the chair of House Council of Economic Advisors, says, and he said this on CNN, which is really interesting, a surge in private investment, 22% in the last quarter. That's not what firms do when they're concerned about the economic outlook. That's not what firms do when the economy is shrinking. And here he is. I'll just play a few seconds of this.
Look, I don't think that this morning's GDP print is consistent with an economy that's under any sort of stress. If you look at it, investment grew 22%. A surge in private investment, 22% in the last quarter. That's not what firms do when they're concerned about the economic outlook.
Exactly.
That's not what firms do when the economy is shrinking as a whole. That's what firms do when they believe in the future and that they're reshoring activity and they're bringing production activity back to the United States, which is exactly what the president said would happen and is exactly what's happening. Look, I don't...
Great news. And he's exactly right. Everyone is looking at everything right now. Like if you go on social media, the big thing is all the shelves are going to be empty because of the tariffs. Everything is going to be empty. You have to look at the long game, and that's what he knows, and that's what a lot of these private firms know. That's what these manufacturing plants know. That's what they know. So this is great. Great news. Them Democrats are wigging out. Yes, they are. When are they not wigging out? That's what they do, and that's what they do best. They wig out. Speaking of Democrats, this is really funny. So they talk about all of the coverage after the first 100 days, and there's a list of the negative coverage on mainstream media. So you have negative coverage in the first 100 days on RFK Jr., 89%. Negative coverage the first 100 days on Elon Musk, 96%. Negative coverage the first 100 days on Pete Hegseth, 100%. Negative coverage on Trump with the first 100 days, 93%. Pete wins. Pete, you gotta be first at something. If you're not first, you're last. In this case, if you're last, you're first. Did you see what happened with Bezos' tariff disclaimer? I did. I actually did see what happened. So yeah, it was, he put this little thing out. Of course, they're denying it now, but he put this little thing out saying that they were gonna disclose all the amounts of tariffs to the public. When you go on their e-commerce site, you're gonna see how much they're spending on, or you're gonna see how much how much they're charging on tariffs. Hi, Funny how Democrats are concerned with the cost of everything now. Exactly, and he got called out. I don't think Jeff Bezos or Amazon was expecting to get called out the way that they did, but Caroline Levitt, during her press briefing, who literally just fresh got off the phone with Donald Trump, said yesterday in the briefing, just basically called him out. And here's the thing, everybody knows it, even Democrats, everybody knows that essentially Jeff Bezos is in bed with China, and that's why they wanted to do that, because they're literally just in bed with China. And if you disclose everything, well, how much does Amazon overcharge? And that's what everyone started calling out. Everyone also started calling out, well, yeah, everyone else started calling out, well, you didn't do anything during all of this high inflation. You never said anything then. You never said anything during the pandemic, which, by the way, Amazon's profits went up 220% during the pandemic, when all the small businesses, all the little mom and pops, all the restaurants were struggling. Some of them have closed permanently since then. They weren't able to come back. And some of them are still trying to recover. When all of these places went out of business, when they were struggling, Amazon went up 220%. So I didn't see him trying to do anything to help small businesses. I didn't see any of that. And he got called out real quick. And then they came out and denied ever doing that, which was hilarious. Yeah, they only care about the price now. Now that the orange man, now they care about prices all of a sudden. But we had a supply chain shortage when Biden was here. We had like record high inflation. They didn't say anything then. Actually, they just lied to us and told us the economy was doing great. Really? Because it doesn't feel great. Remember when we ran out of gas? That was early in the Biden administration. We literally ran out of gas. So they can go somewhere. They can just go somewhere. Bye, Harvey. Got a day if you... Oh, I thought you said I gotta go. Thank you very much, Harvey. Okay, so one of the judges, the Wisconsin Supreme Court, everything Biden did was okay, so it's so disheartening. Oh, I know. They never called Biden out on anything. It was so bad, and never called him out on a thing. And I remember that. I was here when we literally had gas stations all over that were running out of gas. And a president who's essentially asleep at the wheel. Oh, this is actually pretty funny. Before I move on to the judges, so Hakeem Jeffries, I don't know if you guys know who he is. He's a Democratic congressman. He is now urging Democrats to stop going to El Salvador. So Cory Booker and the Hispanic Caucus, they have mentioned or have said that they're planning on going to El Salvador to go visit the Maryland man. What a backfire for Bezos. They eat their own. Exactly. I don't know what they were expecting. I don't know if he was thinking that. I don't know. But the thing is, even Democrats they're not a fan of Jeff Bezos. So for him to do that, and again, not say anything about all the record high inflation, not say anything. Oh, and let me just backtrack. Jeff, he made a deal with China. And I wish I could find this old headline. Oh wait, here we go. I got something good for you. Hi there, Uncandy. How are you doing? Okay, I got something good for you. Okay, hostile and political. Jeff Bezos should have known Trump was always going to turn against Amazon. Who is this? Do I like this website? No, we don't like this website. America first, absolutely. Okay, so Amazon said it has ruled out a plan to display the tariff surcharge. Yeah, he backed up real quick. Said that it ruled out a plan to display a tariff surcharge on product listings after the founder, Jeff Bezos, got an angry call from President Trump and the White House, called it a hostile and political act. The e-commerce giant said Tuesday that it weighed showing import charges on its discount shopping site, but said the idea was never approved and was not going to happen. Amazon said it never considered displaying the charges on its flagship shopping site. Sure, we believe you. That's after President Trump placed an angry call to billionaire Bezos over a report on Punchbowl News that Amazon had planned to display how much of an item's cost is derived from tariffs right next to the total product listed, or the total of the product listed. Amazon decided on the label. Oh, there's the headline. There's the headline. That's what I wanted. Okay. Amazon decided on the label because it doesn't want to shoulder the blame for the cost of President Donald Trump's trade war, according to a report. You know what? Amazon can go somewhere. I try not to buy from Amazon as much as possible anyway. Caroline Levitt holds a news article. Oh, this is great. This is the news article I wanted to find. I need to find it. Caroline Levitt, during the press briefing, called it out too. She's the one that called it a hostile takeover. And she holds up a newspaper article that says Amazon partnered with a China propaganda arm. I wonder if I can find that. Okay, so this is an article that came out in price for Amazon went up 220%. So Amazon.com was marketing a collection of President Xi Jinping's speeches and writings on its Chinese website about 2 years ago, when Beijing delivered an edict. According to two people familiar with the incident, the American e-commerce giant must stop allowing any customer ratings and reviews in China. A negative review of Xi's book prompted the demand. One of the people said, "I think the issue is anything under 5 stars." Because, you know, communist countries, they run on propaganda. So you can't have those bad ratings. Ratings and reviews are a crucial part of Amazon's e-commerce business, a major way of engaging shoppers, but Amazon complied. The two people said currently on its Chinese site, Amazon CN, the government published book has no customer reviews or any ratings, and the comment section is disabled. Amazon's compliance with the Chinese government's edict, which has not been reported before, is a part of a deeper decade-long effort by the company to win favor in Beijing to protect and grow its business in one of the world's largest marketplaces. Okay, so Hollywood does the same exact thing. China gets a say in certain things in Hollywood movies. They always have. If you're ever bored, look up movie posters, American movie posters versus the movie posters that they have in China. And the reason for that is because there's obviously, what's the population of China? Because it's such a big market. Yeah, China has 1.4 billion people in it. So that's obviously a huge market, and they basically run Hollywood and apparently Jeff Bezos. A source confirmed to the Post that Trump had placed the call to Bezos, which was first reported by the Wall Street Journal. In a Tuesday briefing, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt accused the Seattle-based web giant of being China-aligned. This is a hostile and political act by Amazon. Why didn't Amazon do this when the Biden administration hiked inflation to the highest level in 40 years? Exactly. Didn't care then. But an Amazon spokesperson told the Post that the report wasn't accurate. The team that runs our ultra low-cost Amazon haul store has considered the idea of listing import charges on certain. This was never approved and is not going to happen. Punchbowl News stands by its reporting, says somebody from Punchbowl. Before Amazon's denial, Leavitt said she just got off the phone with President Trump about Amazon's reported plans to add the label, though she added she will not speak to the president's relationships with the founder, Jeff Bezos, who I think before that they were on good terms. So funny. I try not to. I used to rely on Amazon so much, and now I'm like, why did I do that? We're buffering. Bezos, who also owns the Washington Post, made headlines just before the election when he blocked his newspaper's editorial board from publishing a prepared endorsement of Trump's opponent, then Vice President Kamala Harris. Bezos has also implemented an overhaul of the Washington Post opinion page, which has seen an exodus of left-leaning commentators after the mogul stated his preference for touting personal liberties and free markets. Just hours before the change was announced, Bezos joined Trump. So they're chummy. I don't know, that's pretty funny. That was a really quick turnaround for sure. Still got over 3.5 years to improve. Okay, this is more from the CEO of Ford. So if you weren't here at the beginning of the stream, the CEO of Ford announced that he's going to be building 2 new factories in the U.S., one in Ohio and one in Tennessee, and he's really excited about the future of America.
First of all, Ford is really different. We make 80% in the U.S., more than any other.
Oh, I didn't know that. They make 80% in the U.S.?
Manufacturer. In fact, we made 400,000 more vehicles than our next competitor, and that would fill up the entire island of Manhattan. That's how big of a gap we've made. So, look, we think this is really great for the country. We really support the president's initiative. We never left the America on car production, and so this moderation is reasonable. I think for mostly our competitors, they need more time, but at Ford, we're in good shape. And this is the right thing to do. We really appreciate the dialogue we've had with the president, but we have a lot more work to do with him and the team. Well, first of all, Ford is really different.
Nice. Okay. Here's Trump on the China tariffs.
But I told you before, they're having tremendous difficulty because their factories are not doing business. They made $1 trillion with Biden, $1 trillion even.
China made $1 trillion with Biden. Have a great day, Uncandy.
$1 trillion with Biden selling us stuff. Much of it we don't need. You know, somebody said, oh, the shelves.
Is that a Simpson on your profile picture? I can't see. It's really tiny. Hello, Alex. How are you? Okay, here's Trump on China tariffs. China.
But I told you before, they're having tremendous
Kind of.
difficulty because their factories are not doing business. They made $1 trillion with Biden, $1 trillion, even $1.1 trillion with Biden selling us stuff. Much of it we don't need. You know, somebody said, oh, the shelves are going to be open. Well, maybe the children will have $2 instead of $30, you know?
No, he's right. It's all stuff we don't need. Like, people are complaining about stuff we don't need. Everything we need can be produced here in the USA. Nobody needs anything from China. He's absolutely right.
And maybe the $2 will cost a couple of bucks more than they would normally. But we're not talking about something that we have to go out of our way. They have ships that are loaded up with stuff, much of which, not all of it, but much of which we don't need. And I told you before that.
Yeah. Thank you very much, B. I hope you have a good day. Oh my gosh. And now we have another rogue judge, another one. So US District Judge Jennifer Thurston has ordered that Border Patrol cannot arrest a suspected illegal alien without a warrant. According to her ruling, Border Patrol must have a reasonable suspicion to detain. How about if you're in the country illegally? Like, according to her ruling, Border Patrol must have reasonable suspicion to detain individuals and cannot pressure them into voluntary departure without informing them of their rights and obtaining their consent to leave. What's the plan to stop this judicial coup? I'm totally cool with just ignoring these orders. It would be nice for the administration or Congress to address it other than acknowledge it's happening. The reporter says, I don't know. I think their best option is to get more funding for ICE and the immigration courts and build it into a massive force. Yeah, these judges are out of control. Like, stay in your lane. And there was a poll that came out that 80%, it came out recently, 80% of Americans support mass deportation. That, by the way, 80% of Americans, that's Democrat and Republican, support mass deportations. Someone said, I just keep saying this is an invasion, a literal invasion, not figurative, literal war. You can't fight a war unless you're willing to. Americans will keep being replaced. What Biden did was one of the worst attacks on this country. It absolutely was. Letting all of these people in, that was one of the absolute worst attacks on this country. And the fact that these judges are taking this stance, even given when if it's not 80%, it's still going to be 60 to 80%. So that's the majority of Americans support mass deportations. So you have to ask yourself, who are these judges fighting for? It doesn't make any sense. They're not fighting for the American people. And we've heard over and over and over again for how long? It's a democracy. The democracy, the people are telling you what they want and you're going against that. So who are you for? You're a traitor. Who oversees judges seems like they have more power than the president. I don't know. And they're not elected. They're appointed. They're not elected. Okay. Oh, this is a good comment. A U.S. district judge is a lower federal court judge. Their job is to interpret federal law within their district, not rewrite immigration enforcement policy or override the powers granted to federal agencies by Congress. Immigration law is federal, and Border Patrol operates under the Federal Department of Homeland Security, not the judicial branch. Border Patrol agents already operate well under established authority from 8 U.S. Code 1357, which gives them the legal power to detain and question individuals they suspect of being unlawfully present in the U.S. without warrant, especially near the border or designated zones. That authority is codified by Congress, not left to reinterpretation by one activist judge in California. Her ruling undermines national security, disrupts federal enforcement. That was a good comment. Oh, here's Mark Rubio on the El Salvador guy.
Garcia has a formal request from this administration.
Would be fine,
Mr.
yes.
President, Secretary Rubio, can I ask you a question? You brought up El Salvador in your remarks. Have you been in touch with El Salvador about returning Abrego Garcia? Has a formal request from this administration been
Why?
made?
Well, I would never tell you that. And you know who else I'll never tell? A judge. Because the conduct of our foreign policy belongs to the President of the United States and the executive branch, not some judge. So we will conduct foreign policy appropriately if we need to. But I'll never discuss it. And no one will ever make us discuss it because that's how foreign policy works.
Mr. President,
Would be fine,
Mr.
yes.
President, can I ask Secretary Rubio, can I ask you a question? You brought up El Salvador in your remarks. Have you been in touch with
What that guy just, I removed that person. What do you say, Botox? Should I say thank you? Okay, here's Elon Musk on the board.
Cities and sensible spending. And that, the American people voted for secure borders,
Yeah.
safe cities, and sensible spending. And that's what they've gotten. A tremendous amount has been accomplished in the first 100 days. As everyone has said, it's more than has been accomplished in any administration before, ever, period. This portends very well for what will happen for the rest of the administration. I think this could be the greatest administration founding of the country.
Well, we all want to thank you for your help. You really have sacrificed a lot. Been treated very unfairly.
Well, they do like to rent my cars, which is not great. It's better.
But you have been treated unfairly.
This is, yeah, and one of the main reasons Trump got elected was his immigration policy. So again, like who do these judges think they are? Who are they fighting for? What are they doing?
But the vast majority of people in this country really respect and appreciate you. And this whole room can say that very strongly. You've really been a tremendous help. You opened up a lot of eyes as to what could be done. And we just want to thank you very much. And, you're invited to stay as long as you want. At some point, I guess, he wants to get back home to his cars and his...
Very cool. So Trump was having a big cabinet meeting today with his cabinet to talk about the first 100 days that he was in office. That's where a lot of that was coming from. So Tim Walz is out here talking. Tim Walz. That was Kamala Harris's running mate. That was going to be her VP.
I knew I was on the ticket. I would argue because we did a lot of amazing progressive things in Minnesota that improved people's lives. But I also was on the ticket, quite honestly, because I could code talk to white guys watching football, fixing their truck, doing that I could put them at ease. I was the permission structure to say, look, you can do this and vote for this.
He's the white guy whisperer. The white guy whisperer.
And you look across those swing states, with the exception of Minnesota, We didn't get enough of the. I knew I was on the ticket. I would argue because we did a lot of amazing progressive things in Minnesota that improved people's lives. But I also was on the ticket, quite honestly, because I.
Unbelievable. Well, remember, was it white men for Kamala Harris that they tried to do? White guys for Kamala? What was it? Hi, Clown Man. White guys for Kamala. White dudes for Harris, yeah. Tampon Tim. He is kind of, but not even trying to be funny. I'm actually being serious. He is kind of clown-like. I don't know, just in the way he is, his mannerisms, it's a little clown-like. So Trump is also shutting off funding to sanctuary cities. He just canceled $32 million in grants to Denver, which we all know is a sanctuary city. No, he is. He's very clown-like. Loose lips sink ships. Could you imagine? Man, we dodged a bullet. Just think it. Can you honestly imagine what would have happened? That is horrifying to even think about. What would have happened if Kamala Harris won the election? Horrifying. And this is good too. This is exactly what they need to do. This is Fox News Denver. ICE issues $8 million in fines to 3 Colorado businesses for illegal employment practices. Sugar Walls is a jazzy fella. Did he whisper to you? Are you a white dude for Tim? No, white dude for Kamala. Is that how you talk? You say things like a jazzy fella? I don't know this language. Apparently Tim does. Ew, what? Now Gretchen? I know. Now Gretchen Whitmore is saying she's praising Donald Trump. What?
So that we are continuing. The president and I have our differences. He's been open and engaging, and I'm going to continue. My work is not done. Suffrage, we can check off the list, but I still want to make sure that I saw a tariff policy today that's a little more favorable to the auto industry. We got more work to do on that front. I want to make sure that.
You know what? Well, she's Michigan, isn't she? Yeah, absolutely. She needs to take that stance. Michigan is a big. I mean, what Trump is doing right now for manufacturing, she has no choice. Michigan's a big manufacturing state, or it was. So.
We are continuing to combat Asian carp and deliver for the people in northern Michigan who are so impacted by the ice storms. Well, the president.
Interesting. It's because she has to. I wonder what the comments say. What is she up to? Being awkward? I don't know. Just being Gretchen Whitmore. Okay, here's the one from Michigan. As a Michigander, I am confused as well. She's been a terrible governor and very partisan with her sights set on the White House. It feels like she's moderating her positions to be a more viable candidate. Yes, I agree that's probably what's happening because, again, the things that Trump is doing for manufacturing right now, she probably sees that. And if she has any chance at the White House, especially coming from Michigan, she's going to need to start shifting a little bit. Someone says, which more? Whitmore knows that if Donald Trump ever starts to enforce his promises to clear the swamp, that she is somewhere on that list. She's one of Biden's own. She was central to the kidnapping fake. She contributed to COVID misery like a dictator. Yeah, and Newsom is doing the same thing too. Somebody said it's the same thing Newsom is doing, pretending to be moderate because they want to be president. So they know that the majority of the country elected Trump and they're tired of leftist ideology. They're pandering, don't fall for it. Agreed. She's taking the page out of the Newsom play. Exactly. Because that's exactly what Newsom is doing right now too. Someone said she actually met and spoke with Trump and discovered he's not who she thought he was. I think Bill Maher had a similar experience. I don't know. Samantha, most reasonable. I don't know. Who said Samantha? Interesting. All right, you all. Well, that's everything that I have for you right now. Thank you so much for joining. I might be back later. Next time I'll announce it because I just like go live. I never say when I'm going live. But Cruella DeVille, she is Cruella-like. You have Tim Wallace, who's very clown-like, and then you have Gretchen now they're having me say Gretchen Whitmore. Gretchen Whitmore, who's very Cruella DeVille-like, and then we're not going to stop there. And then you have Gavin Newsom, who's very American Psycho-like. Like, he's like American Psycho incarnate. That's exactly who he reminds me of. It's wild. All right, you all. Well, thank you very much for watching. I will catch you later. And have a really good day. All right. Bye, you all. Bye. Thank you. Can't turn you off.